snow and hollowing it out on the inside. Traditionally though, these igloos are built by cutting blocks of compacted snow. Powder won't work. And one of the beautiful features of this is the window over here. It's actually an ice window and it lets in extra light. But we'll see later that it's not dark in there at all because quite a bit of light comes right through the snow and the snow is quite bright. One thing that may trouble somebody who looks at this is that you can't see the blocks. And I remember as a child watching the cartoons on TV, and all the blocks were drawn on the cartoon that the igloo was made of, the snow blocks. And when it was finished, you could see them. The last step is to grab a snowshoe and heap powdered snow all over the top of the igloo to fill in the little chinks. So you only get to see those blocks for a couple of minutes after it's built. When we go inside, we'll see the blocks at that point. I thought it would be instructive to just show you in the next scene how to actually cut a snow block and how easy it really is. This is a traditional snow knife. This one's made simply out of wood. Nothing to it. They might have used large animal bones, in fact, large pieces of whale bone. Later times they had iron snow knives that they traded for in white men's trading posts. But there's nothing to cutting a block. What I've done already is just remove the powder from the top because that's useless. All right, it's the compressed snow that we want. And I'll smooth out the face of the block first. That's pretty easy. And then I'll make a cut about 8 inches behind, 6 or 8 inches, all depends, behind that one. Very easy to do. And then my side cuts I have to be careful with. They have to be at an angle so that the block will tip out without catching. That's the first one. And then I'll do one on this side. All right. And now comes the bottom cut. And you'll see the block settle, just settle there. Chip it out with the snow knife, and that's all there is to it. Here's a beautiful block, which I can use for building an igloo. But it's already built, so we'll just leave this block where it is, and we'll take a look at the exciting inside of the igloo. The igloo, it's actually fairly roomy, but and it's fairly small too, but there's only going to be a couple of people in here. And the ice window adds a lot of ambiance and light, and you can see it's quite bright inside here, but we haven't yet come up with the feature that really makes these places beautiful. In back of the igloo is what we call the snow couch. I did not have to build this. When we laid the blocks, we started right about here, and we already had 1.5 feet of packed snow. There's the first row of blocks, and you can still see the joints here. And what they did after they laid this first row of blocks, they took the snow knife and they started to carve it down, down, down. And when they got all the way around, they met that block at its bottom. So that you then built each block up, like the one I cut outside, as a spiral. And you never have to end until you get right to the top and put the cap piece in. It's like building a dome of a cathedral. And it's quite nice when you're through with it. But the real magic, and to make it more roomy, I shouldn't forget this, we left the packed snow here and we excavated down near the doorway and down right to the sod line so that we have an extra 1.5 feet. It's kind of a sub-snow level house. And if it gets windy and blows a lot, I can use this deer hide, put it right over the door, and it can hang on a hook there. And making hooks in an igloo is so easy. All you have to do is take a bone or a stick and push it into the wall, and you can hang something from it. So, but the real magic in these is this dish here that has tallow in it. And in Eskimo country, they wouldn't have used deer tallow like I'm using. They would have used seal blubber, and they would have cut it up. Here's deer tallow already cut. And this is a dish, and it's got a wick inside here, and it burns the tallow. And I'm going to light this up with the candle here. The candle lantern is something that they would have had in more recent times and gotten it from white men in white men trading posts. But we'll illustrate the fat dish, which is really very exciting and really makes the place comfortable. All right, it'll take a minute to light this wick here. It's got to get warm because it's pretty cold in here. You can see from my breath that it's quite cold inside here. But just our body heat, 2 people in here, myself and Peter, who's taking the pictures, and from this little fat lamp here, you would be amazed how warm it gets. It'll get above freezing. Now, the trick on not melting it is simply that in the Arctic, it might be 30 below outside, and we might be 35 above inside. And there we go. The wick is lit. All right. We'll give that time. And this is very ingenious. This is a clay dish. They might have also used soapstone dishes too. That was more common in the Arctic, but they had clay dishes also. Now, when you're trying to get a little rest at night, what happens is the tallow in the dish burns down, and as that happens, more wick is exposed and the flame gets higher. And you've got to wake up every 15 minutes and put some more tallow in. But I came up with a very simple plan, and I'm sure Eskimos did this. I'm going to stack the tallow right behind the wick, and as the wick flames high, it'll melt the tallow. As the tallow melts, the tallow level will come up in the dish, it'll drown part of the wick, and the flame will go down a little bit. It'll die down. And then when the tallow is depleted, it will melt some more. So it's kind of a self-regulating little lamp, and it's very beautiful. But if we wanted to get a little rest, all we'd have to do is sit on these deer hides. They would have had caribou hides on the couch. And put the lamp right there. And this is really a pretty comfortable place. And you can warm your hands up and take it easy. And the reason that you had to go backwards through the door is simply that the top of the door is a couple inches below the snow couch. So as we get warm air filling the dome, which will happen quite quickly, the warm air will work down and it'll get to the snow couch before any of it goes out the door. So it's a very ingenious plan, and they were very clever people because they had to live with the elements in the Arctic. And boy, my hands are warm now. This is almost starting to feel like home. So Peter's relaxing on the snow couch, taking a shot of the door, and he is a couple inches higher than the door. Today, without any wind, it's fine, but if it did get windy, we would actually take this hide I have over here for this purpose. We just hang it right over the door. And one convenient thing about igloos is if you want to fasten something to the wall, just nothing to it. You put a stick in there and it'll stay. There we are, and that'll hold our door right in place. And it gets a little darker, but that will tamp down any breezes we got if we had a blizzard coming on. The Eskimos themselves might have gone, or would have gone as far, typically, if it was a blizzard condition, to pull a snow block in from the outside and turn it upright and actually cover the door. But I prefer not to do that when I have the candle going in here. They seem to know how to do that without any problem. Got a little darker, didn't it? But still a lot of nice light coming in the window. It must be nearly spring in the Arctic, and you know what that means, that your igloo's about to melt soon and you better put up a summer tent.